Hey everybody on YouTube, Karl Alexander here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the new game, Hitman. This is a big review, so let's get right into it. Hitman is a third-person stealth-focused action game that was released on March 11, 2016 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows PCs. The game is a direct follow-up to the 2012 game Hitman Absolution, and is the sixth game in the Hitman series. Hitman is being developed by IO Interactive, and is published by Square Enix. It's being released in episodes throughout the year of 2016, so I'll be reviewing the training missions and the Paris Showstopper level, as that's what's been released so far. So before we get started, I just want to say that I have not played Hitman Blood Money or any Hitman before Hitman Absolution. Also, I need to mention that Hitman 2016 has opted for an odd DRM system that I'm not a fan of. Essentially, offline and online save files are separated, so if you go offline you'll be kicked off your current game and you'll have to play in offline mode. Though if you play in offline mode, you can't use your previous save files. I had this issue come up when I was playing and my internet cut out, causing the game to force quit and erase my progress. It's frustrating and stupid. I understand online DRM for online components, but always online DRM for a single player game with no reasonable offline mode is bad. It doesn't stop pirates, it just hurts paying customers. Okay, so on to the review. Hitman is a good looking game, but for a AAA title in 2016, it's nothing spectacular. It feels like just a lighting and texture upgrade from Absolution, and its performance doesn't always seem to match its fidelity. I got decent performance in the 50 to 60 FPS range, but the game tended to drop below 40 when a lot of characters were on the screen, and a few times I got as low as 29 FPS. The game has smoother edges, more subdued colors, and is less contrasty compared to Absolution. The environments are detailed and the textures look pretty good, but in general the game just looks and feels very similar to its predecessor. In Hitman, almost every NPC is now a possible target and an individual AI. The developer claims the game can handle several hundred NPCs at a time, and that seems accurate walking around the Paris level. However, because each NPC is more detailed and individual, it becomes very obvious that there are very few character models. Like here, you can see 3 identical men standing within a few feet of each other. But seriously, it breaks immersion when you notice every single guard and guest are just clones of each other. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's just disappointing to see that these unique NPCs are just copies of each other. The design of the Paris level is impressive. The map is huge compared to anything in Absolution, and it's filled with tons of interesting places and objects. Such a large level opens up more creativity to the player and leaves a lot to be explored. The music and sound are both what you'd expect from a game by a publisher as big as Square Enix. The soundtracks seem to really fit in with the mood of the game. It has a sort of Bourne Identity feel to it. The musical cues and narration after successfully eliminating a target is really satisfying.
Both targets are down. Great work. Now head towards an exit.
Overall, the presentation of Hitman is really good, but fails to be anything special. Its generic NPCs steal a lot of the spotlight, which is too bad because the levels themselves have an impressive amount of detail. In Hitman, you play as Agent 47, a genetically modified person who was designed to be the perfect man, though ended up being the perfect assassin. The game's tutorial level takes place 20 years before the current day, which acts as a sort of prologue to the entire series. It shows Agent 47's recruitment to the ICA and his introduction to his eventual handler Diana. After the tutorial, the game picks up after Hitman Absolution. The game doesn't go over any major events, and considering you ended up back at the ICA at the end of Absolution, I suspect you're just accepting contracts as always. Anyway, your job in Paris is to kill a fashion power couple who happen to be the masterminds of an international spy ring called Iago. Once the Paris mission is over, an unknown man is shown to be manipulating the spy ring and is probably the main antagonist. So all that sounds sort of vague, and it sort of is, but that's okay. Hitman doesn't need a big sprawling epic story. Absolution revolved around saving a girl from the same fate as 47, which was supposed to make it emotional or something, and tried to make 47 a sympathetic and relatable character. But why? Not every single game needs an emotional journey. Hitman is about assassinating people in cool ways. Have a bad guy doing bad stuff and make a story around that, so you can see some cool levels and eventually hunt him down. Keeping the story simple has opened up Hitman 2016 to be a more open game that focuses on being fun and challenging. For those who don't know anything about Hitman, the goal of the game is to assassinate a selected target, usually in a manner you choose without being spotted. The levels are open-ended, so it's up to you to use your environment to find the best way to kill your target. This can range from poisoning their drink and drowning them in the toilet, to sneaking a bomb inside a camera and blowing them into fucking pieces. In the game, you're a master of disguise, so if you subdue or kill an NPC, you can assume their identity. Throughout each level, there are places like dressers or moving boxes that you can hide bodies in. Absolution had a comical amount of these boxes, and Hitman kind of continues that trend, but not to the same extent. The places to hide the bodies seem to be more integrated into the level, and there are several parts where there are none, making certain situations more difficult. Other examples of things you can use are special items like poison syringes, remote explosives, coins, lockpicks, and tools like hammers and screwdrivers to interact with the level to cause accidental deaths or more distractions. Agent 47 is also pretty good at sneaking around, so you can use crouch to go undetected, though it's not foolproof, so you'll still need to stay out of the view of any guards if you decide to trespass. You can use guns to kill, but anything other than a silenced pistol will get noticed almost instantaneously, and even silenced pistols aren't totally silent. Hand-to-hand combat is possible if needed, but isn't generally advisable. The hand-to-hand combat takes you into this blurred out quick-time event, and it's probably the single worst mechanic in the game. Everything else fits in, and this sticks out like a sore thumb. It's jarring and makes you feel like you've lost control of your character. Little things such as inventory management have changed to be more focused on stealth. In Hitman 2016, anything besides a pistol is always visible, so unless you're dressed as a guard, it's not a good idea to keep a large weapon on your person, which is great considering Hitman is not a shooter. The game never rewards gunning down random people, and always rewards stealth and creativity. Another element that's a welcome change is the Instinct mode. Instinct mode was introduced in Absolution as a way to give the player more accessible data, like where targets and NPCs are and where they're going, but it also gave you the ability to use instinct power to sneak by NPCs that may recognize you. Instinct power has been removed and you get no special ability to sneak by NPCs, making you think about how you will approach a few guards instead of just walking right by them. However, the mode still offers useful information about your targets, like where they are. This kind of bridges the gap, making information accessible but not overpowered. It was convenient knowing exactly where an NPC would walk to, but it's not good design for a game that's based on patience and skill. Getting back to NPCs, the AI of the game has improved, but it's again an incremental upgrade. Leaving suspicious items such as guns lying around will cause guards to search for you, and in general the NPCs seem to be more aware of strange behaviors, but they are still just dumb AI bots in many ways. If you incapacitate a guard, other guards won't notice unless you leave his gun behind. Bodyguards of the targets won't pay much attention to you leaving an area where you shouldn't have been, so it's a bit odd killing a person in a private bathroom, walking out and having no one suspect a thing. Another odd quirk about the AI is the fact that you can apparently eavesdrop on anyone's conversations and have no one notice. This is immersion breaking as it seems the characters should at least stop talking while they can see you nearby. And just in general, characters seem to talk about criminal activities in front of waiters and bodyguards and just don't care. I guess they really just trust their staff. I understand the point of this is so you can find opportunities and new ways to kill your targets, but considering how important stealth is in other parts of the game, it just feels out of place. Returning from Absolution is Contracts mode. Contracts is a way for players to create custom missions and share them online. Contracts let you pick any target, kill them any way you want, pick all the conditions of the level, and then upload it for others to play. Alongside Contracts is a new mode called Escalation. Escalation is basically a special contract designed by the developers to be more difficult than the original level. The targets will be different and the requirements of the kill escalate after each level completion. You also can't save during Escalation, making this mode ideal for people who have mastered the current level and can use their detailed knowledge to complete the missions. I've only played a few levels of Escalation, but I think it's a fun way to add more replayability. Last but not least, challenges have also returned. Challenges are just like achievements but are split into different categories, so killing a target in a certain way or discovering a certain item will complete a challenge. And the more challenges you complete, the more gear you unlock, giving you more and more options to start the level. I've never been big into achievements, but for some reason challenges really drive me to play more of the game. Because they require you to explore the entire level and master the game mechanics, they give you a real sense of accomplishment compared to most regular game achievements. For a game with a single full level, Hitman is off to a great start. It's frustrating to see AAA titles go for episodic releases and use always online DRM, but I suppose that's just the way it is. I've already put in 18 hours on Hitman, with most of that being on a single mission. Getting back to a more open world focus has helped this game hone in on what makes Hitman fun, instead of focusing in on a story no one really cares about. I would highly recommend Hitman. It's not perfect, but it gets so much right, and it has a huge amount of replayability. I enjoyed Absolution, so it was an easy purchase for me. But without all the levels, it's hard to make an informed purchase. So if you're on the fence, wait it out for a sale or a more complete review. Okay everybody, that was my video for this week. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, I think you know what to do. Leave me a comment in the comments section and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. Coming up next week, I'm going to have a review of the first Fallout 4 DLC, Automatron. So hope you stay tuned for that. See you then.